Today I'm going to be doing a fluid and filter change on my 2003 Cadillac Seville. I recently purchased this vehicle and I have reason to believe that the transmission fluid needs to be changed, so I'm going to give that a go. And it's kind of a messy job, so I have on my nicest clothes today. But the first thing to do obviously is to lift it up so I can get underneath it. I just lifted the front end up instead of the whole thing because that takes extra time. And I'm paranoid, so I put 2 jack stands under each side. But this particular vehicle has the 4.6 liter Northstar V8 in it. It's a front wheel drive vehicle. And it has the 4T80E transmission. The way GM numbers their transmissions, the 4 means that it's a 4-speed. The T means that it's transverse engine. This is a front-wheel drive vehicle. The 80 is a relative number specifying the amount of torque that the transmission can handle. 80 is one of their highest ones. They use this particular transmission on the Northstar engines. And the E means that it's electronically controlled. So the PCM controls or the transmission control module controls the shift points, etc. So let's take a look underneath this thing and see what I'm looking at. Alright, here's a view from underneath the vehicle. I'm on the front end right now, looking back toward the back. And we have the oil pan over here. And here's the transmission pan. You can see that it doesn't have any drain plug on it, so I'm going to have to remove the pan to get the fluid out. And also there's a couple of scavenger screens up inside here that I'm going to inspect. I may or may not replace those. I haven't purchased anything yet for this. I'm just going to take it off and see what it looks like, see what I need to purchase. I considered adding a drain plug to it since the torque converter clutch in this one is not working, and I may have to change the transmission fluid more often than you would normally have to do it because of the higher temperatures. But I don't know. I think because of the low ground clearance of this vehicle, I'm just going to leave it without a drain plug and take this off every time that I want to do a fluid change. It doesn't look like anybody's had this off before, so I'm hoping that it still has the GM factory gasket on it. That one should be reusable, but we'll see what happens. The first thing I want to do is throw something on the ground here because this is going to be really messy and I don't want to have my garage floor permanently stained. Alright, I have my sacrificial cardboard down here. I have a drain pan. This particular transmission holds 15 quarts of fluid. Probably only about 10 or so will come out of the pan, I'm not sure yet. Hopefully that's big enough to hold it all. Some transmissions only take as little as 3 quarts of transmission fluid, so this one is pretty hungry for it. But the fasteners on that pan are 10 millimeter, and call me lazy, but instead of using a wrench, I'm just going to use this to take them loose. And you'll notice that the transmission pan is wider than my drain pan, so I have my doubts as to how well this is going to work, but I'm going to give it a try, and hopefully most of the fluid goes into there instead of onto the cardboard or my face. We'll see what happens. And I think that'll do it. So I'm just going to let this sit here and drain for a while, and then I'll go ahead and continue loosening these up. And while the transmission pan is draining, I'm going to go ahead and remove the transmission fluid filler cap and dipstick that's underneath this air cleaner resonator assembly. and for some reason they chose to use Torx to hold this down, so you need special tools, which is kind of weird, but I don't know what size this is, but a T30 I think this is, takes this loose. So see if I can do this one-handed. Remove this and get it out of the way. That comes off. Get this hose out of here. And I'm just going to pop that right off. Down inside this little cover here, you have the transmission and engine control modules. They put them here so that they get good airflow. Some of the aftermarket air filter kits, they actually move these to some place where you no longer have good airflow. It's a very bad idea. I'm not a fan of K&N air filter intakes. Anyway, so the transmission filler is right under here. I'm just going to remove this cap, hopefully break the vacuum, and help the fluid drain out a little faster. Okay, so I've removed the cover and washed my hands so I didn't get the camera completely nasty with transmission fluid. And that's what it looks like here with no transmission pan. The scavenger screens, there's one over here and there's one back on this side. Those both look very clean, so I'm not even going to replace those. This particular transmission has a filter up in the upper reservoir, and these are just scavenger screens, so if they look clean there's no reason to change them really. And the transmission itself here looks just fine. The fluid is a nice red color, it doesn't smell burnt or anything, so that's a good sign. My pan isn't very full. There's probably only 6 quarts in there or something. I don't know, I'm going to measure it and I'll let you know what it is when I dump it out. But this particular transmission, like I said, takes 15 quarts, which means that I didn't get much of the fluid out of it. Maybe that's because of the tilt of the vehicle. Maybe the fluid's all sitting in the torque converter yet, or the transmission cooler up here. I could take those lines loose and drain more of it, but this time I don't think I'm going to, and I'll show you why here. Here is the transmission pan off the car, and you can see that it looks in pretty good shape. This particular car, like I said, has a torque converter problem. The torque converter clutch is not working at all, actually, and that's a common problem on these transmissions. Starting in 2005, they changed the torque converter clutch from a viscous silicone fluid clutch to standard clutch plates to resolve this problem, but I still have one of the older models here. And the main reason I wanted to pull this off was to first see if the transmission fluid was overheated, if there's varnish all over and things like that. If there was, then there'd be a problem. But it doesn't look like that's the case, so hopefully it hasn't been running too hot. And also to see if there's metal filings and clutch plate material all over the pan. If so, that would indicate that this thing needs a new transmission, and that would be very expensive. So I'm happy to see that this is nice and clean. The magnet right here to catch filings, that doesn't have too much on it. I'm really surprised, actually. I don't know the exact history of this vehicle, but I was told that that it had a transmission flush done fairly recently, the last 20,000 miles or so, and that's when it started having transmission problems. I'm not entirely sure if that's true or not, but if this pan had indeed never been dropped since it was new in the factory, then that would indicate that the transmission's in pretty good shape, aside from that one problem with the torque converter clutch. But I'm going to clean this pan out. I'll probably use some brake cleaner, get all the residue out of it, clean off that magnet, and bolt the pan back on. Ah, nice and clean. Looks like a brand new pan. Okay, so now I'm going to see how much fluid is actually in my catch pan. Well, I measured the transmission fluid that came out, and it was only about 7 quarts, which is approximately half the capacity of this transmission. So I think what I'm going to do is put the pan back on, and buy twice that many quarts of transmission fluid, and I'll drive this for a while, a week or so, and then I'll just remove the corner of the pan again, let it drain out, and replace that fluid again. That should get most of the fluid changed out. I'm not really a fan of transmission flushes. Besides, this is a lot cheaper. So let's put the pan back on. This gasket looks to be a rubber on metal gasket, so it should be reusable. I think before I do that, however, I'm going to wipe this mating surface down, try to get the fluid that's on there off. Alright, now I just have to put all of these bolts back in. I'm sure that these have a torque spec on them. I don't know what that torque spec is. I just kind of checked the tightness of them with a wrench when I took it loose to see approximately what it was. And I'll just kind of keep that in mind. You don't want to make them too tight because you'll bend the flange on the pan and then it'll leak. And obviously you want them tight enough so that it doesn't leak and they don't come loose. So I just have my drill here, and I'll put the chuck on a very low torque setting to get started. And I'm just going to start running these down. And then I'll follow it with my wrench, because I know about how tight that'll be. The last thing I'm going to do under here is to clean off all these surfaces, because they have transmission fluid all over them, and they're going to keep dripping for the next few weeks, probably, if I don't clean them off. Alright, I'm back from the store with my transmission fluid. It only cost me $30 for everything that I need for this particular change, since I'm not changing the gasket on the transmission pan or those pickup screens. Once again, this transmission doesn't have a filter in the pan that's changeable. The filter is a non-serviceable component elsewhere in the transmission. So it's just the pickup screens, and they look clean, so there's no reason to change them. And this is a SuperTech brand from Walmart. If you don't like Walmart brand fluids, then that's fine. I'm not going to argue with you, but what's important is that it's Dexron 6. Dexron 6 is far superior to Dexron 3, so make sure you get that, especially since Dexron 3 is no longer licensed by GM, so it can only say Dexron 3 compatible, which means they can put anything they want in it. That's not necessarily a good thing. So make sure it's Dexron 6. Especially in a transmission like this that I know is going to run warmer than it should, since the torque converter clutch is not working. That's an issue for another time. I'm going to monitor the transmission fluid temperature on a long trip at some point to see how that does. But for now, I drained about 7 quarts of fluid out of the transmission, and since if I overfill it, there's no easy way to get the fluid back out. I can siphon it out or remove the pan once again. There's no drain plug. So I want to make sure I don't overfill it. I'm just going to put 6 quarts in, and then we'll see how much more it needs according to the dipstick. I took the car off the jack stand, so it's pretty much level here in the garage. It needs to be level in order to check the fluid level, but I'm going to put 6 quarts in and then we'll continue.